stand ready for my arrival, worm. It's WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we watch, read, play, and listen to. Sorry. I wanted that to come out a little bit better, but I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And with us again is Nick. How's it going, Nick?
It's going great.
So our main topic will be Invincible Season 3. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I will try to be quick with most of it.
I've got one thing to talk about.
Or one additional thing. We're also going to probably talk a little bit about Black Bag and other new releases. Nick, I'm sure you got a plethora of things as well. Or not, whatever. So, as always, start with a roll.
That is a 6.
God, fuck. All right.
All right, here we go. 7.
Oh, okay.
As long as it's better than you.
All right.
I'm definitely beating both votes.
Nat 1.
I got a fucking 9.
That's
Okay. Wow, we're all pathetic. All right. Well, Nick. Well, actually, no. You don't get to go first. I don't have news, but this isn't like topic stuff. This is just like small things. One, did you see the trailer for the All You Need Is Kill anime adaptation?
I saw like the first 20 seconds of it.
It looks fucking cool.
Definitely not what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw the title, I was like, that can't be the thing. And then I was like, oh, wait, nope, this is the thing.
That movie has like the worst titles. Edge of Tomorrow is not very good. I like Live, Die, Repeat. That's fine. That's probably what it should be called. But All You Need Is Kill is a stupid title. I hate that so much.
I think it's a cool title, but it...
Not for that.
But not for that, yeah.
Yeah. You know, if it was like a hitman story and he's killing women that he thinks he's in love with, but they don't love him back, all you need is kill. I don't know. Something like that, but...
All right.
There you go.
Write it down. We're putting it on the...
and then two new candy type things that I think you guys would both like.
Ooh.
First one, butterscotch Snickers. Pretty damn good. Like, they're peanut butter Snickers, it's like whatever. None of the Snickers variations are all that interesting, but the butterscotch one, like, really is a step above all the other ones. And then the Post Malone Oreos. I don't know if you had those.
The caramel.
It's like salted caramel and like a... It's like a toffee cookie or something. Like, I can't remember the other flavor. Damn, I should have wrote that down. But that is fucking great. Like, yeah, it's $3.50 for a pack of 4 or something. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah,
Like a dick.
I know. But I don't know. It was kind of worth it. It was great. I wish I had a whole sleeve of them.
I mean, I'm not an Oreo guy, but if I hear...
Yeah, that's a tattoo sleeve. Nick, put your chair a little closer to his mic, so your witty little comments actually pick up on the mic.
And my crunches.
Yeah. What were you saying, Steve? You're not an Oreo guy.
I'm not an Oreo guy, but if I hear a rave review, I'm willing to try one.
Yeah, I mean, they're at your local Wawa, so check them out. But before we actually get into more stuff, Steve, you wanted me to remind you, dentist story. You're gonna hit us with some good dentist story?
I don't know if it's good, and so feel free to cut it if this sucks. But so I just wanted to tell you, I went to the dentist the other day or last week because so I had like this cavity that like they were just like, all right, well, next time you come in, we'll take care of that, yada yada yada. I was like, all right, cool. So I had an appointment like in a couple days. But so I was flossing, I was brushing my teeth, and then I was flossing, and then I guess the floss like caught something, and then I pulled the floss, and then like a chunk of my tooth came out.
Oh yeah,
and then like it didn't hurt or anything, but I was just like, oh, that's a big piece of tooth right there.
And that is in the spot where you needed the cavity filled?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So now it went from like a small cavity to like a full blown like a third of my tooth is now missing, and I was like, oh, I think I need to get this taken care of right away.
Yeah.
So I go in, and so they have to like take the needle and numb you up because they got to get in there to try and put a cap on it or whatever it is. So they stick me like I think twice, wait a little bit for it to get numb. I can feel it getting numb. They go in, immediately feel like horrible pain, and they're just like, all right, if you felt that, I was like, yeah. And they're like, all right, we'll stick you again. And so they give me another needle, and so wait, face is a little bit more numb, go back in, stick me again. Immediately feel like
Wow.
sharp pain. It's like it feels like it's hitting a nerve.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna have to do anesthesia like directly on the tooth, but to do that, I think they need to put like a needle like in the tooth. And so they do that, and boy howdy, that shit sucked. And they're like, all right, well, now we're gonna get on in there. And so they start again, and I can still fucking feel it. It hurts so bad. And they're like, all right, so we have two options. The tooth may be infected, so we can give you some antibiotics. It can bring the swelling down, and you can come back next week as long as it's not bothering you. Because like when it happened, like I can put pressure on the tooth, like it doesn't feel any pain. It's just like maybe a little bit of sensitivity. Or they're like, she's like, give me 30 seconds to get in there, and then we'll just like I'll knock this out real quick. I'm like, and so I was like, just do it. That 30 seconds felt like, I don't know if it was 30 seconds.
It's probably like 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think it was actually closer to 4 minutes. But it was just like them just getting in there and just the worst. It was what I imagine like when you take like something really thin and sharp and like stick it on your fingernail, but like over and over and over again. Like by the time they were done, I was exhausted because my body was like clenched.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm just going like, like trying not to, and she's like, you're being a real trooper here. She's like, every time we go in there, it's just like gushing blood apparently and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, they were.
They say they after it was all like, yeah, that was infected.
No, it wasn't infected.
Oh, okay.
It was just, I guess, whatever. It was just like the swollen or the gums were bad, whatever it was, but it wasn't actually infected. So I would have done a week's worth of antibiotics for nothing to come back and still have to go through the exact same process. So I'm glad I got it over with. And because I guess the pain was just like so sharp, like once they were done, like it was more or less gone. Like I think like the next day or two was like it felt a little sensitive, but like now I have a cap on my tooth and everything's fine. But I never want to do that again. And like, I've never had problems with like the dentist. Like, you know, they can go in there, and I've had like painful stuff they've done, but it's never really been that bad. But for like, I was there for an hour, and it was just, most of the time it was just me waiting to get numb.
Yeah.
But like the whole time they were in there, it was just like stabbing pain into like my gums and tooth, and it fucking sucked. I hated every second of it. Like I was exhausted. I think like my eyes went dead for a second as I was just like staring into the abyss, because like I can't believe this is happening to me right now. Like I see why people would just like give up information to the CIA or like the Taliban or whatever. It's like torture me for like 3 seconds. I'm like, you can have whatever you want. Like I'm not doing this. So if you want information from me, just fucking stab my tooth nerves or whatever, because Jesus Christ, it was horrible. So that's my dentist story.
Well, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, so that's fun. And I like the dentist more than the doctor, but it really is a testament of how you can try to go through so much pain and not do anything. Because like you stay perfectly still, you can't thrash around, you can't close your mouth, and it just really shows kind of like how tough you can be.
Yeah.
But I had something similar. Like I just moved away from my family. I was in a new city for the first time, all by myself. And I think I just like sucked on my teeth. And in between my two front teeth, like a big circle just came right out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. Like I work in the public. I can't be seen like this. And luckily I was able to find someone real quick. But it was like there was no indication, no pain or anything. And just like a cartoon drill out of a mountain. Just whoop, right out of my two front teeth.
Yeah. Teeth are weird. I've always had a thing. Like you guys know this, like I've talked about it before, like watching a movie and someone's doing anything on teeth, I think I can't watch it.
Teeth and nails.
But like I can go to the dentist, have no issues. It's just the idea of like, what was that movie with Dane DeHaan where they're like drilling into his tooth to torture Cure for Wellness? Yeah. That scene like fucking shattered my brain. I did not care for that scene at all.
Any tooth pulling or someone's getting dragged away and their nails pull up backwards,
biting the curb in American History X, like it's all just terrible.
Yeah, I can see
it's
something...
like one of those things where like it won't kill you, but you know the pain has to like just be astronomical.
I can watch someone get their head blown off in a horror movie.
Not
no problem. I'll chuckle at that, but yeah, teeth and nails. Oof.
Yeah.
I love everything about teeth. Love teeth stuff.
He's the dude. He's Bill Murray in Little Shop of Horrors. Okay.
Well, sorry. It took me a second to. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, Nick, you won the roll. Do you want to go first?
I don't like. I mean, I know you said the main topic
Mhm.
is
Invincible.
Invincible. I know
And
we're going to talk
talk
about
about Black Bag.
Opus and Black Bag, which I
Yep.
did see both of. I think the only thing that I have that is like unique to me, I did watch a YouTube short film called Shaolin Avengers.
Okay.
Yes, there's a YouTube channel called MartialClub, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's like three dudes who they've been involved in Hollywood for a while. They did the choreography for the Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Oh, okay.
like
Ki Kwan.
Hui Kwan, like Fanny Pack,
Okay.
and Michelle Yeoh choreography. I know one of them was like behind a mask as an actor in Shang-Chi.
Mm.
They're always behind the scenes in some of the best choreography in like recent film. They're so great. I love them all. If they had a Patreon, and they might actually, I would pay for it, honestly. I absolutely adore them. But they put a new movie out, or a new short film out. It's about like 25 minutes long, I want to say. And it's so simple. It's just like a rival, like MMA school trying to take over and show that they're the best. And they come to their
Cobra Kai.
very Cobra Kai, and they come to like their kung fu school, and they're like, "Kung fu sucks. We're modern MMA. We're gonna fucking show that we're the best." And it's just them defending their sifu and defending their school. It's got a lot of. I don't know if either of you would like it that much, just because there's a lot of silly throwback, like 70s, 80s kind of kung fu film uh, cringe. I would almost
Kung Fu cringe. All
yes,
right.
like sound effects and like
Write that down. Yeah, Kung Fu
yeah,
cringe.
so I don't know if it would be up either of your alleys, but choreography wise, it's phenomenal.
Mm.
And I love them so much. They have multiple films on their channel. I cannot recommend it enough if you're a film of or you're a fan of like fighting and choreography and anything like that. It's the best way you can spend like 24-ish minutes, and their whole channel is fantastic. But that's really all I have to say about it.
Alright, cool.
If you like fighting and you like fights, it's great.
All right, cool. And I'll skip Steve because I know he doesn't have anything. And
I got one thing.
well, I got like 7 things, so let me go. All right, and some of them will be quick. But do either of you watch Righteous Gemstones?
I watched the first 2 seasons, and I think I started the third,
Yeah.
but just haven't gotten back to it.
All right. Well,
I liked it.
This
It's
is
just
season 4, and if you are a what's his name? God,
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. If you like any of his shit, obviously you'll like this. It's the exact same thing, but always the star is Baby Billy Walton Goggins. Everybody in the show is the best.
Yeah.
They're the best at being the worst. But season 4 just started last Sunday. And have you heard anything about it?
I just know Bradley Cooper's in the first episode,
Yeah.
and that's like an origin episode,
and
I hear it's great.
It is. It's back during the Civil War. He's a scumbag piece of shit, and he kills a priest just to rob him. But then the cavalry comes in, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you're the priest that's supposed to be going with us into war. So pack your shit." And like, well, how much does it pay? And he realizes he can make money off of just following these people around, saying some prayers. But he's like total full of shit, and he's scamming people out of their money, gambling and things like that. And then you see him like maybe come around to the idea, maybe not believe in any of it, but why the gemstone lineage followed this path. And it's great. I did hear a rumor that like the only reason why Bradley Cooper did it was because he wants his Emmy so fucking bad and he can't do it. And a lot of those kind of standalone episodes for shows are the ones that get nominated. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. But they even gave him like Danny McBride's like big pork chop sideburns in it. So, I don't know. It was great, and happy to see it come back.
I mean, do you think he's great in that?
I think he's really good in it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good in everything. I just mean, like, do you think it's a standout Emmy performance?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay.
But still pretty good. And then also, Wheel of Time is back.
I haven't watched any of it yet, but
I won't spoil anything.
It's on my to-do list.
But anybody who is interested in it, I'd say don't watch Wheel of Time. Wait till it's done. This show, I like. you have to binge it because I don't remember a single thing that happened in season 2.
That's why I haven't started.
Yeah, it's not worth it because it's way more magic mumbo jumbo than any Lord of the Rings things or any other fantasy stuff that's on TV right now. And it's political, but less political than, say, Game of Thrones. It's like right in the middle of a lot of stuff. I don't remember any characters' names. I don't know what they did last season. I have to watch it with subtitles because there's so many words of locations and oaths and things that I don't know what they're talking about. So it's good. And even after the previously on, I don't remember most of that stuff. I remember the one dark-haired girl with the thing on her mouth. She was held captive. I remember that, but that's about it. But this first episode was good. The first 3 episodes are out. I think this it'll take me a while to get through it because even though it is a really good show, it's also kind of a chore to watch.
Sure.
But I like it better than fucking Rings of Power, 100%. And I probably like it a little bit better than House of the Dragon, even though I can follow House of the Dragon and I like those characters a bit more. I kind of like what this story is doing.
Yeah. House of the Dragon's probably a better show, but
yes,
Wheel of Time's kind of like a little bit more fun, I think.
Yeah.
Like the House of Dragon's like so dour. Like there's no one ever having any fun on that show.
I know it's for everything. I just sometimes you want to see people just have fun. Like I want the bad guys
be happy for like 10 minutes.
I just want, there's a crime boss in a movie and they're telling him, oh hey, they killed Johnny Two Toes and it's always like they're always in business mode. And I just want someone to walk in a room and they're just telling jokes and they're laughing or they're playing cards and they're having a good time to show that they are human beings and not just evil monsters. So those are my 2 like real quick ones. Steve, what do you got?
Right. I finished a book. It is fuck you guys. It is book 1 in the Blood Sworn saga. It is called.
They all sound the same too. The Blood Sworn, the Cloud.
All right, no, fine. Let's go talk about Black Bag.
The Swamp Eater. Go on.
I don't want to because Nick's gonna jump in and say something.
Sorcerer's Mirror.
So book 1's called Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, and it's basically like a Viking-inspired fantasy story. And
our world, fake world.
Fake world.
Okay.
But they use like a lot of like Viking terms and Viking sort of like.
But it's not like we're heading off to Greenland.
Yeah, no. But in this world, there's what they call Bison, which is essentially just like monsters.
Bison?
Bison. Yeah. Or Vaesen. I don't know how you pronounce it.
How do you spell it?
Vaesen.
Oh. Vaesen, maybe?
Vaesen? Yeah. Whatever. But there's like there's 3 point of view characters. 2 of them are women. And that's what's really like I think kind of awesome about this book. Like 2 of the 3 main characters are women and they're like badass and awesome. And then also like the villains of the story so far have all been pretty much women who are also badass and awesome. And at no point is it just like there's any like, oh, let's women are weaker than men or like let's try and rape this woman for whatever. Like there's none of that. They're just like everyone just kind of like, oh, you're a warrior. We all like just respect warriors. Like no one is shitty to any of the women just because they're women. They're just like because these women will kill you. And it's these 3 stories and how they may or may not eventually converge. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. But I thought like when I first heard about it, I was like, I'm not sure how much like fantasy stuff is actually going to be. And I thought it was going to be kind of be like more like Game of Thrones, where there's not that much magic stuff, but there's like a ton of different monsters in here, like trolls. There's like a little imp-like thing that like eats human teeth. One has like a pet that is like a scorpion-like thing, but with a human face. There's just tons of cool shit. It's a super easy read because every chapter is like 10 to 15 pages. It's action-packed throughout the whole thing. All the characters are really awesome in their own way. Like the one guy who's in it, his kind of story is like he knows his sister died and he wants to find out who did it. So he wants to like get this witch to sort of like do this thing that will like tell him, like show him the last moments of her life so he can see who it is. but he has to like join this group of warriors who like let him in and sort of like climb through the ranks in order to like get permission to use their witch to like do this thing. And you find out more about him. There's one character who's just like, I want to be left alone with my like husband and son, but they kill her husband and steal her son. So now she goes on this like revenge mission, and she's just like, she's my favorite character. She's just like killing anyone in her path, but she's like smart and capable and just brutal as shit. She's fucking cool. And then you follow this other character who you find out she is the daughter of like essentially like a king like character, but she is with this battle group of this group of like mercenary warriors or whatever. She's like, these are my people, because if I stay with my dad, he's just gonna sell me off to like be someone's princess so he can like gain more power or whatever. And it's like, that's not for me. I want to go like kill people for like to prove I'm my own person and badass, and to like say fuck you, dad. And they all have to like, basically they're all heading to this land where the gods have fallen, because in this world there was like there's like a giant dragon and a giant eagle and a giant rat, and they all like fought and killed each other like 1,000 years ago or whatever it was. And so like some of their bodies have like just rid of the lands, and like their bones they've like made into fortress. Like there's one city that just lives inside of like the head of a giant snake skull, and it just all sounds like super cool and visually interesting. And I had just a great time reading it, and highly recommend if you like Vikings and fantasy and action scenes. It's a real fun, easy read.
How many books in the series?
There's 3.
Okay. And you're definitely going to continue?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can I recommend a book, a fantasy book?
For you to recommend
All
a
right.
fantasy
It
book.
was a long time ago. It was called The Warded Man. And there's a couple in the series, and I think I only got through maybe like 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing that Paul W.S. Anderson was going to like adapt them, and I was like, oh, I don't want that. But that was years ago, so I think it's just one of those projects that some studio bought the rights to. But it's like pretty much you like carve or draw wards into the sand or around a door, and monsters that come out at night can't do the get through it, or it catches them on fire. And there's lots of different crazy monsters, and then a guy decides he starts putting them all on his body, and then he's able to like fight them, because I think most of the people, they just run because nothing kills them, but you have to put your wards up to protect yourself. It's like, well, I'm gonna take the fight to them. But I remember really enjoying it. So,
and you said it's called The
Warded Man.
The Warded
WARRED.
Cool. I'll look into it.
Well, speaking of fantasy, I watched a fantasy movie.
You had sex with a girl, so no.
Thanks for coming to my show, Nick. I can't cut around all that. It's one thing, like you do give them the pause, and then we say the bad thing, and then we move on. I could cut around that, but I had to cut out or actually, I don't know if you listened to the last episode or maybe 2 episodes ago. Like I couldn't cut around some of the bullshit you were saying, so I had to put the like big old bleeps in just because it's like there's no way to salvage this.
Such a love having me on.
Well, anywho, I watched In the Lost Lands. Nick, I know you're one for like, hey, if you got the pass, just go see it. Did you even bother?
No.
Good, because it is awful. It's not even fun bad. Like, I wanted to laugh, but it's not even silly stupid. It's so dull. The main characters have no chemistry. The plot is obvious from the jump. Like, you know exactly how this is all gonna pan out, and it's just everything's brown and gray. It's so boring. You could tell there's maybe a set and everything else is just green screen. Just ugly. Mila Jovovich is not an actress. She's good in
By definition she is, but
yes, I guess she probably has a SAG card, but the only role she gets is the ones her husband's direct. So no one's hiring her, and I don't know if that's her going, well, I don't really give a shit about this. You want me in your movie, honey? Yeah, I'll fucking do it. But I've made enough off Resident Evil. I don't need to do shit. So I'm not sure where her stance is, but outside of The Fifth Element, she sucks. And Batista, you need to start thinking about your roles, because the last one was like The Killer's Game, and now this. And Killer's Game isn't the worst thing at all. It's fine. but he's really bad in this as well. Yeah, just a huge stinker.
Stop giving Paul Anderson money.
I know, for real. Like, name besides Event Horizon, like, what's a really good Paul W.S. Anderson movie? He only has like he has a bunch of movies, but he has like two series that he works on. But he like all the Resident Evil movies suck. Like the first one is fine.
Yeah.
You can't even say it's good. It's just fine. But everything else he does is garbage.
I need to see.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now.
Because like I think Event Horizon has a cult following, but there are plenty of people out there that would say it's not good.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of
I love
problems
it,
with
but-
Event Horizon. So yeah, it's like Monster Hunter based off a video game. Death Race, he's done 4 Death Race movies.
I think Death Race 1 and Monster Hunter 1, I would accept an argument that
There's a good movie in Monster
Yes,
Hunter,
I would
but
accept the argument.
he does not know how to bring it out.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen Death Race. It's not a good movie, but from what I remember, I was like, this is watchable.
Yeah.
But it's like, how are 2, 3, and 4? You know.
I didn't watch any of those.
All right, marathon, Death Race, all of us.
Let's do it.
I would say probably my favorite movie of his is Alien vs. Predator. And that is not a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
Yeah, I would accept that argument. I would say Event Horizon for me, but AVP it's not his fault that it's so bad. I understand the studio wanted it to not be rated R.
Mhm.
I think if it could have been rated R, he would have had a little more free reign with it, and it could have been something that would have been his magnum opus.
It's like, oh yeah, who even remembers the Three Musketeers from 2011?
I do.
I mean, so do I. I saw it, but
I saw it.
that really is. Oh, and Soldier, that's a terrible movie. Oh yeah, Mortal Kombat. I forgot he did the first Mortal Kombat.
Holy shit! Hang on a second.
Yeah, you're
I
rethinking
fucking
things.
love that movie, but it's not a great.
It's
movie,
not a good
but
movie. He doesn't make good movies.
No.
He can make some fun movies or nostalgia things. Like, I remember seeing Mortal Kombat in theaters for the first time. Like, that blew my fucking mind. I was, what year was that? 95? I was 14. So, come on. That's like perfect timing to see something like that.
But
So,
I've seen that movie so many times.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I cannot believe that all the movies have gotten re-releases in theaters with their little limited engagements that movie has not gotten all I want to do is hear that theme song in the theater. That's all I want to do in life. I don't need to do anything else.
and you'll probably get a theater that has like a rattly speaker. Well, we're getting a Mortal Kombat 2 this year, so maybe they'll do a special re-release. I would love to go see Annihilation in the theater. Saw it twice in theaters, but I would totally go see it a third time.
I'll watch it as well, but I would much prefer just a solid 95 Mortal Kombat in theaters again. I'd even pay for it, honestly. I don't care. Just for fun.
You guys are making fun of me because I read a book. While you guys are over here creaming your jeans over a not a good movie that you just like from your youth.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Keep reading your Viking bullshit. Just kidding. Reading is, elementary.
So, good point, Nick. Okay, so I also saw The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's cute. It's a silly little. Because I want to support the Looney Tunes because I want to prove to Warner Brothers that we deserved Coyote versus Acme. So
fair enough. We were just talking about that.
And honestly, I think even though I haven't seen it, I'd like to see it. That kind of humor, they don't make anymore. Yeah. So I think even though I get why it's not as popular now, it's very mostly low-hanging fruit, but there is a charm to that old style of slapstick kind of humor, especially when I imagine they pepper in some pretty good more modern day jokes.
I mean, there is one where they're trying to earn money, and Daffy's like, "Oh, we'll be influencers," and he blows up his butt, and then he starts twerking on TikTok or something. It was actually pretty funny. I laughed. I'd say the beginning 30 minutes is better than the rest of the movie. It's a little long. This is a 70-minute movie, 80 minutes max, but it's 106 minutes long. It's no reason for it to be this long. There are some adult jokes where what was it? Like they were talking to the aliens, like, "Are you gonna probe us? Fine, go for it. You could probe us in the bathroom, in the bedroom, down at the docks, in the restroom at the truck stop." And I'm like, okay, that's very specific, and I know what you're saying. There's a part where like Porky Pig is trying to chew on something and they get into a tumble and he's like sucking on the foot of Petunia Pig and he's like got drool coming all out of it. It was like, okay, this was someone's thing. So someone was into this.
The
And
subreddits are going to be disgusting.
yeah, there's a couple of little things like that, but all in all, I would just like I gave it a C plus. Like it's cute, it's good, it's fine. It's not as it doesn't. It's not like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit or you know, something that like or even like Space Jam's not good, but at least it's weird.
Yeah.
This is played pretty straight for a cartoon, a zany cartoon.
I was trying to think of a better example of what I was thinking of, but like when they did that Chippendales movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that was like peppered with like live action stuff, but that was like a fun new take on like two old characters. Like, you know, if they did something, I'm not saying live action because that's what the Acme one was, right? Or
yeah,
no?
well, that was like in the real world, and Wile E. Coyote is also there.
Yeah. But I think there's ways to do sort of like updated versions of like these old characters where you can make it like fun and have, you know, these sort of in jokes or adult jokes. Like, you know, there's ways to like entertain a whole audience with, you know, children, quote unquote, cartoon characters.
They could have ramped it up a little bit more, but for what it is, it was. I'm not upset that I saw it.
Was there people in your theater?
Yeah, I mean not like a ton, but we were.
Were there children?
There were some, yeah.
Okay.
Mostly adults though.
Okay.
We were in theater 5, so it was pretty big. And
I only asked because I haven't seen a lot of marketing.
no, I haven't seen either, but I'm sure all the marketing is on Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, things like that. You know, daytime TV. One thing that I was kind of dreading, but I knew I had to watch it anyways, was The Electric State. It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. It's not great.
No spoilers.
I won't. People are saying like this is the worst thing that Netflix has ever done. Absolutely not. Like they make terrible movies. You know, like even you take like The Gray Man, who has like a great cast, and then you know the guys who made Avengers, and it's this spy thriller, and it's just kind of whatever.
But Evans is rocking the shit in it.
He's got that fucking mustache, man. This is fine. I think its main problem is the two leads. Like nobody likes Chris Pratt anymore. He's just doing Star-Lord stuff and everything. I don't like Millie Bobby Brown. And they got a million people doing voices, and some of it's like what's his name? Gronk? Is that his name? The football player?
Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, it's like he just has 2 lines of dialogue. I'm like, do you need to be paying this guy all this money for 2 lines? It's stupid. And it needs to be dark. If like the guy who did Creator.
The creator?
The creator.
Yeah. Oh, Gareth Edwards?
Yeah. You give it to him, you give it to a Neil Blomkamp, someone who can strip the comedy out and make it scary.
Gritty.
And gritty. That would be great. And this is supposed to be kind of a little more fun and bright, but it's still kind of muted looking and ugly. Like the CG looks great, but I think it needs to either be the saturation cranked up a bit or really crank it down. And it's just in this middling area. But the story is good, and what has to happen by the end, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty compelling and interesting. You just have Star-Lord making dumb jokes and you know 11 being really obnoxious. So, but there is good in it. It's not the worst thing. And I can see even like if you're 8, this is probably pretty cool. Oh, and Mr. Peanut, why did they design him like that? What a horrible design for Mr. Peanut. Awful. Like all the other robots look kind of cool. Mr. Peanut looks like shit.
Wait, like the actual Mr. Peanut?
Yeah, he's like the leader of the robot resistance. It's like there's like no brand names in this except for Mr. Peanut. Like there's small things.
They paid a lot for that.
And it's like Woody Harrelson is Mr. Peanut, and
what?
It's very bizarre.
Let's watch this on Tuesday.
and then like another worst thing is like the music. Like they're having a big battle and they're playing what is it, Ride of the Valkyries, and like so obvious of a song to do, but a lot of them are played by, it's like a robot taco in a sombrero, like he's the mascot for some Mexican restaurant, and he's playing it on like a old timey piano. So it sounds kind of interesting, but they're just the oddest choices for songs. So it's a C- for me, dog.
I was gonna say I came across a TikTok video of a guy just roasting that movie.
Yeah.
And
like $340, just $340, real cheap, $340 million. Like it should not be that expensive. It's crazy.
I guess he was a big fan of the graphic novel.
Mhm.
And it just like showing you images of the graphic novel and then juxtaposed with the film, and it's just like you said, it's a very dark,
Yeah.
dreary, serious,
Bleak.
somber.
Mhm.
Bleak is a great word for it based on what he was saying. I've never read it, but just based on what he was saying, story, and what they turned it into was an embarrassment.
So the
apparently two fans of the graphic novel.
The Disneyfication of things.
Yeah, I would like to read the graphic novel more than watch the movie, but since the movie is right there and I can just click play, I will get to that first probably.
Yeah, maybe watch the bad thing first, then go back to the good thing.
Yeah. I'm very interested in watching it or reading it and judging it based on how the movie is as well.
Yeah. Okay, last couple of things, actually. Nick, you saw Opus. I saw Opus.
I did see Opus in a theater with absolutely nobody with me.
We saw it. There were, I don't know, 7 other people.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't...
I had nobody in mind, but I did go at it like a weekday early.
I don't know. I think we were in an okay theater, too.
It's funny that you bring it up, because I have a screenshot of something. So Opus.
Oh yeah, we were in 15, so it wasn't a big theater.
Same. So Opus is on the list of the worst domestic debuts of all time.
Yeah, I saw Black Bag, Opus, and Novocaine. If you combine their weekend or their opening numbers, it's less than $20 million.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Does anyone want to guess what some of the other titles?
Okay.
It's number 9 on 9, as in like 9. Like number 1 would be the worst.
The worst. Okay.
9 would be.
So I'm assuming like Delgo. Maybe
Delgo is
on there.
Yes,
Oogie Loves is on there.
Yes, Oogie Loves is number 2. And oh my god, I love that I think all 3 of us worked in the theater during that time.
Oh yeah. Oogie Loves is a special place in our hearts.
Oogie Loves is like a fascinating like in the history of film for us.
Well, so read the list. 10 to 1.
Creature 2011. I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know that.
Number 2 is Oogie Loves. Number 3 is Delgo. Two Hearts is number 4. Playmobil, the movie. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
The King's Daughter. Profile 2021. Infinite Storm. I know that movie. That's got like Naomi Watts in it, I believe.
Okay.
Scoob, which I think was probably just because it was a
pandemic thing.
It was a streaming thing, yeah. And then Opus, and then Mac and Rita.
Okay.
I'm really surprised, but I mean, not really, because I was in the theater that was completely empty on like opening day. But I don't think Opus is that bad. I'd love to hear your thoughts on
it. I'm upset with people who always bitch about movies. It's all just Marvel shit. It's all sequels. It's all remakes. It's all adaptations. There's no original thought in movies anymore. And like this weekend, we had 3 original things.
Yeah.
And then they don't show up for it. And things like The Nice Guys, a great movie that was based off of nothing and tanked at the box office. That could have been a great little series of movies. So fuck all those people. But if you didn't go see this, you ain't missing out. This movie's not very good. I was pretty unengaged the whole time because it just was like, this is the menu meets Blink Twice. That's it. It's the menu meets Blink Twice.
Blink Twice, but okay.
But like the menu, you have like really fun characters that you get to know about and why they deserve their kind of comeuppance. And the bad guy is a really interesting character who I don't know, has like, I don't know. he's not evil, but there's a menace to him. And then blink twice, you know something is fucking wrong, and you just have this anxiety the whole time. And this doesn't have any of that. Like, you could cut out all the other characters, like Juliette Lewis and her boss and the paparazzi person. They serve no purpose in this except to be killed. Just if it was just her and him, and it was this weird interview back and forth, like, I could see it being good, but yeah, I think this movie kind of sucks.
I mean, I think everybody there is somebody that works for a like media outlet or some sort
That screwed him
that,
over in
or
some,
not even specifically.
or
They just
talk shit.
shit on creativity.
Yeah,
So that's the
the
whole.
menu.
Sure. I think. Look, I'm not saying it's original or anything.
Nope, you said it's the best movie of the year.
All I said was I thought it was decent, and I think I fall in the category. It's right now it's almost split down the middle on critics.
Hmm.
I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm just saying for me, it's for most of the runtime. I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know the reasoning, and even if I wasn't like floored by the explanation for everything that was occurring, I still was interested for most of it. But I think, yeah, no, I think every character that was there that he called upon was like a major media reporter outlet person
Hmm.
that reports on the, art, whether it be film, music, whatever. And he just wanted to kill them because he is an artist and he thinks they shit on creativity.
And that's fine, but I don't feel like we develop it enough. We're told that at the end when he's in
Yeah.
prison. He's just like, well, why'd you kill all those people? Well, this person took a bad photo of me, and this person gave me a bad review on this album. And like, can't we work that into the actual story? And it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, why did we do this? Let's sit down, and this is why I killed all these people. This is why, like, my followers went off, and I knew you were going to write a book and you were going to set off this chain, and then my influence is going to grow even more. It's like, work it into the thing so she can
Yeah.
maybe follow the clues and figure it out. But it's just everything that you watched, well, you don't really need to just watch the last 20 minutes, and that's where everything gets explained. I just think it's kind of poorly made and
Yeah.
ugly. I did like the music. I liked the music that he was performing. Didn't knock my socks off, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's not a movie I would recommend to anybody, but I think in my quote unquote review that I did on my own social media, I literally just was like, it's not the worst way to spend 100 minutes, especially if you're like all three of us in this room and you don't pay for movies really.
Hmm.
I was fine with it. I just I just think the end was underwhelming, which I think is probably the biggest fault, and
Mhm.
it'll be the fault, like you just said, that everyone has the biggest issue with. But yeah, it's fine. It's not something I never need to see again. I don't regret my time with it. That's
Remember
all.
this, Steve. If you see him doing a DVD haul and he pulls out Opus in a couple of months,
Oh, I buy tons of movies that I don't need to own. But yeah, no,
I like Ao
yeah,
Debris. She's great, and
yeah. She's the one that's like
she
saying
holds it together.
she's saying the things that the audience wants to say.
Mhm.
Like there's so many moments in that movie. It's like, yeah, what she just said, and then somebody else is like blah blah blah, and you're like, are you even paying attention?
Mhm.
But like I said, underwhelming finale. I do like the Asian influencer coming out of the beanbag chair.
Oh, with the fucked up face.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But that's the thing. Like, you get her. She has this allergic reaction, and they're letting her suffer. They cut the one dude's head off and mount it on a wall,
Yeah,
and then the last three they just kill at the end. Like,
yeah.
it's supposed to be kind of like a Agatha Christie's, was it 10 Little Indians, or is that the movie? And then there were none, where each people is kind of like getting killed off one by one, and then she's the only one left, and oh, what's going on? But it's like, oh, we killed two in the setup, and then everybody else is just going to get stabbed at the end. And
Yeah.
that's pretty underwhelming.
It's a very underwhelming, especially like I said in my thing for an A24 modern horror film when we're getting things that are we're getting finales of movies that are very like out there
Hmm.
and taking risks and going crazy. It was very oh, but like I said, it all made sense to me at least.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of horror movies where I'm just like, huh?
Yeah, you have to look up a video
Yeah.
to explain it because we're
So,
not smart enough. So
yeah.
I will appreciate being handheld more
Yeah.
than being left in the dark, but I think it was a bit much.
Yeah, it could have been shorter. It could have been a little more straight to the point. But
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm not. It's not a movie that I would go to anybody and be like, you gotta see Opus.
Hmm.
But as somebody who has a pass and had nothing going on that day, yeah, it was fine for me.
There's a scene where someone's shucking oysters and they stab themselves in the hand and it goes in like right up here. And it's like such an odd spot to be stabbed. And yeah, I didn't like that. But I mean, it was cool to see because it was something I hadn't seen someone get stabbed. Everybody gets stabbed right in the middle, or a finger cut off, but right at the top of the thumb across the back of the hand is
Yeah, and
crazy.
He took it like it was just
yeah, and then he just wraps it up and keeps shucking like a madman.
for some pearls.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so that was Opus. Let's start talking about some stuff all three of us can contribute to. Let's talk about Black Bag. This is a movie, like I told you, Steve, that I love, especially when it comes to like the spy genre. You are kept guessing the entire time. You can make your assumptions, but you're probably not going to be right. And then they just spell it all out for you at the end because so many of these, like a Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, make you do the work. And I know I was just talking shit on Opus for it, but it's done in a way that doesn't feel like, let me explain why I did this, even though that is him just kind of like playing his little games with everybody around the table. But I love this movie. I thought it was very good. Probably my favorite movie of the year.
Wow.
It's either that or Companion,
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't even know if I said it on the podcast or just to you in general. Like watching the trailer didn't really do anything for me. It just kind of felt like, well, I could see this being like not a fun spy movie. It'd just be kind of like, oh, it's just going to be them sitting in a room and just like, it's just going to be boring as shit.
Yeah.
And it kind of was that, but done so well that I was like engaged the entire time. This movie was much better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't love it, but I think it had potential for me to go like, this could have been my favorite movie of the year. But first, directed by Steven Soderbergh, always makes something different, interesting. Even his like not great stuff is usually like pretty solid. He's just a good overall filmmaker.
Yeah. Unlike Paul W.S. Anderson.
Unlike Paul W.S. Anderson. Written by David Koepp, who like wrote Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones movies, and just like is just an iconic sort of screenwriter who's been in the game for a long, long time. This movie is like 90 minutes. It's nice and tight.
Just like Michael Fassbender's face. He's just tight the whole movie.
And like some Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are the two leads.
They're so cute.
Regé-Jean Paul, who like,
Paige? Is it
Paige, whatever.
Paige?
I don't know. Yeah, there you go.
From Dungeons and Dragons, right?
I think most people know him from Bridgerton, but yes, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And then like other people who've like been in stuff. I guess Naomi Harris is probably like
I
next
didn't
most
even
famous,
realize that was Naomi Harris. I feel so stupid.
But like actors who have been in stuff, but they aren't like
they're not
household names.
Yeah. Especially the girl, the young woman. She just doesn't have a very big filmography.
But yeah, I think this movie's just well made overall. I think I would have just liked it more had it been like, maybe the movie doesn't even like the marketing for it doesn't even say this is a spy movie. It's just kind of like, a couple invites a group of friends over for dinner, and then as the night unfolds, truths are uncovered. Like that's how you kind of pitch
a deadly cat and mouse.
Yeah. And you're like, are Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, are they like serial killers? Is this like their kink is like murdering these people and like fucking afterwards or something? But then you find out that they're all actually spies. And I think I would have really fucking loved this movie had it just been a dinner party. Then maybe like
the whole thing took place?
Like the whole 90 minutes is just like more or less in real time. I think that you could have done like cutaways, so you still get that scene of just like as they're revealing information, it's like, oh wait, they're spies. Oh wait, okay, so he knew Cate Blanchett was here because you still have the satellite scene, but it all like all this information is being relayed like as it is at the like you start at the first dinner and it ends at the second dinner.
Yeah,
but it's just the same dinner.
I
think that's what I wanted from this, like after seeing the whole thing. But that's just like my thing.
Yeah,
Because I think this movie could have easily be written into like a stage play.
Oh, sure.
And I think that could be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, Fassbender and Kate Blanchett are always great pretty much in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think their performances are super stand out because like Michael Fassbender is so like robotic in this
Yeah.
movie. But there are moments where you can tell he's like worried about information getting out, where he
Mhm.
like gets more intense, which is like, okay, like
When he
look at him
reali-
acting.
When he realizes he fucked up with the satellite thing and he caused a huge thing, it's like he switches. He's so tightly wound and so composed, and then it just feels like he's about to throw up at any second.
Yeah. I think I liked the idea of Naomi Harris's character being like, oh, I am a therapist to people who work in essentially the British CIA.
Yeah.
So like I am privy to everyone's secrets, but not actively engaged in spy work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's an interesting character too. That it's just you get these 6 characters and you really don't get to know any of them that well. You just kind of like get to know their job and like what they.
I think you get to know him pretty well.
I mean, you know enough about like that they're all kind of bad people.
Sure. But I mean, like you learn that like this one is the alcoholic who was passed over for a job. This is the young upstart who's horny all the time.
More like character tropes versus like characters. But we're nitpicking here. That being said, I think this movie's really solid. I had a good time, and I agree. If you're gonna do a spy movie that's not Mission Impossible, James Bond, big action, fun things, and you don't want to like bore the audience to sleep with 2.5 hours of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy or whatever, where it's like more realistic probably, but just like real fucking boring because it is so realistic. Like this is
it's a desk job more than anything.
This is a nice middle ground of just like people in a room talking, but about something so high stakes and intense, where like, oh, there is this thing that could like level a nation, but it's not really about that thing. It's about like who these people, like trying to figure out who the liar is, so who would be involved with this thing, because you never like see the item called Severance, or I mean I guess it's on like a flash drive. Severus, yeah, thank you. You never see it like actively used or tested
plugged
or
into something and an AI face appears. I am Severus.
But I think, and my last note is so there's a scene where they do all the like the polygraph tests, but they have to do it like at the office, which makes sense because that's where he works and that's where he would have that thing. But it's like if this was all set in their house, I think it would have been fun to go like, oh, they play that game of like, oh, make a resolution for someone to your right. It's like, okay, well, we played that game. Now we're gonna play the polygraph game or whatever, and then he pulls it out at home and they play that.
Sure.
I think that could have been a real fun way to like. And they're all in the same room together. Maybe they're not. Whatever. But I think that could have been fun.
I think if you were doing the stage play version where it does take place at one dinner the entire time, you do have to, because by the end they're working together, husband and wife, against these guys. He would have to play it as if she's one of the bad guys still.
Yeah.
But besides that, it would definitely work.
I think, that's what I would want out of it, because I mean the trailer and the marketing for this movie is like, oh, Michael Fassbender has to investigate his own wife. But while he does do that in the movie, I feel like the whole movie, the big idea of the movie is, look, these two characters who you don't know where their loyalties lied with each other, even though they're married, and then it's like, oh well, it is still with each other. Like they spy on each other to make sure they're both like on the up and up, but they like legitimately do love each other. But I also never felt like I really got to know them as a couple, because it was always just like from the jump to the end, it was kind of like they're just investigating each other constantly.
Yeah, I think the morning scene where he's like, hey, should we go see a movie? Like that is just probably their entire life of just being a very scheduled relationship. Like, we are going to be eating this at this time. Okay, do you need anything? And it's just because they're just meticulous about their job, and they're just probably meticulous about their life. Yeah, it's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but only 2 guns are shot, maybe 3 bullets total, and 1 explosion.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what's that explosion? Oh, yeah, 3 seconds that it occurs.
Yeah.
And I think that I think my favorite scene of the movie is Michael Fassbender going over to the young girl's house, and they just because a big part of the opening scene is basically just not the opening scene, but very early on at the first dinner party, they just all talk about how like they're all having affairs and cheating on each other or whatever. Not Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett, but it's like look that we're all kind of scummy. And I like the idea of like, oh, if you are a spy and you work in a world where you have to lie to, like, if you date someone who isn't in the industry, you have to lie to them constantly because you can't tell them anything about your job. So then you can just
Lie
cheat
about everything.
because you like can lie about everything.
Yep.
Or if you date someone in the office who knows that industry, like well, anytime you have to like go on a mission, you say, "Oh, black bag, I can't explain," but you don't have to go on a mission. You can just go to the hotel and fuck whoever you want. So it's just like you can just get away with it because it's the perfect excuse. I just thought that was like a real interesting idea, and like there's a movie there, just that kind of concept. But then it turns out that like they're all kind of the bad guy except for the young girl.
Well, they all did bad things.
They all did bad things,
but for different reasons. Some are like they were just thinking with their dicks. One person, because of their religious beliefs, knew they had to step in. There's one, or the one bad guy, and then the boss, who orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah. Shout out Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, I did not realize he was in it.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, look, cool. 2 Bond people in this movie.
Yeah.
Naomi Harris was in which Daniel Craig one?
I don't know.
Was it Skyfall when she came in? Okay. I think you're right.
Man.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, we've been talking a long time. Nick, what do you think of Black Bag?
You got any 2 cents about this?
Well, I did have to go upstairs to drink the main bean while y'all were talking about it. It's a big main bean, by the way.
The most main vein. It's like Main Street vein.
No, everything I did hear you guys say, I agree. I would say this is the best movie of the year so far, in my opinion.
I said it was like this or Companion for me.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I would say this is the best movie of the year so far for me. I still think The Gorge is my favorite movie of the year, but that's like a personal preference. I understand there's a lot of haters on that movie. It's really good. I was really invested in this movie the whole time. I love me a 90-ish minute movie. I love it these days because everything is so overblown. There's so much stuff when I watch movies that I feel like can be left on the cutting floor. And this movie was really tightly paced.
But still so dense because every scene, there's no, we need 5 minutes of a car chase. It's just talk.
Very dialogue heavy, lots of exposition. Do not check your phone. Pay attention. I don't have any complaints with this movie. The only thing I would say is, and this isn't a complaint actually, this is a praise, is that it almost warrants a rewatch. Maybe not immediately, but this is a movie I could rewatch again in 4 or 5 months or something, and I feel like I could pick up a little more, that's why they did that double cross, and that's why they did that little deception, because there's so many twists and turns, and I loved all of it, and I love this movie, and everything you guys said I agree with, and I can't recommend it enough. Soderbergh, he rarely misses. But it's not always that he hits, but it's he's somewhere in the middle. Usually he doesn't make bad movies. And this is one of his better efforts, although I know we're not talking about it, but Presence I highly recommend. I really liked Presence.
Presence is good.
Yeah.
Man, that's like top 3 right there, like this, Presence, and Companion for me, because it's been kind of a busted year so far.
I mean, like, because we watch almost everything that comes out, we do have a lot to pick from. But Presence, really good. Soderbergh, really good. I don't have a lot of complaints with this film.
You look at his IMDb, there's so many weird things on there. Like, I remember there's a movie called Bubble, and the cover is like white, and there's a bunch of like baby doll heads, and then the word bubble is with these old like mailbox lettering. And I remember seeing it in like Hollywood Video all the time. And like, what the hell is this? I bet that movie's stupid. But I kind of would want to go through his filmography and just watch a bunch of the stuff I haven't seen. Because it's like you got your Ocean's movies and your Magic Mike movies.
Unsane.
And I haven't seen Unsane.
Wow.
There's he cranks them out like nothing. Yeah, I wonder how much this one cost to make. Because it couldn't...
It's got to all go to the actors.
Yeah. It's no more than 13 million, right? Yeah, so see if you could find out
I'm
the
gonna
figures on that.
say 20. I'm gonna say 30 million.
30 million?
What's this called again?
Black Bag.
Oh, yeah, Black.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'd like to say is, well, one, my favorite thing about spy movies generally is like watching them.
$50 million.
50 million.
And they didn't even advertise it.
That's
So what the-
Blanchett and Fassbender all day.
Come on. 50. Oh, that sucks. They're not making that back at all.
11.8 so far.
My favorite thing in spy movies is like spies doing something like cool sleight of hand kind of stuff, or tailing somebody, but like breaking a light so it distract, whatever, like cool ways.
Disappearing behind a moving bus.
No, I hate that. That's one of my least favorite tropes in all movies. But then doing like cool simple things. It's not about like hacking in and disabling a bomb. It's just like, how can I use this thing to get out of this situation very simply, and like no one bat an eye. Like when he does this, when he puts the key card into his wife's bag, and it's like, oh, we must have switched it by accident, and so he has a reason to get hers to get into her office. Like, I like that shit.
Yep.
And that was like, I think
like
kind
her
of
reaction more to that. I like her being like, come on now.
Yeah. Seriously. You just found it. You didn't ask me.
Yeah,
okay.
I like that more than anything.
But it's like that kind of stuff that I think is really fun, and I feel like maybe I'm forgetting something, but that was kind of like the only instance of doing something like that. Because the other only like real big spy thing in this movie is like the satellite scene,
Sure.
which is both like very impressive, but also like so fucking scary that there's just people who can sit in office and can basically like zoom in to your fucking eyeball from space, and it's so crazy. And also
yes, good thing we're in audio format, Nick.
And just be able to use lip reading AI and to like get your voice and just craziness. And it's so fucked up and scary. But at the same time, it's like, oh, these are the people who are stopping people from like putting something in a nuclear reactor that will just like destroy the planet, or just kill everyone within 100 miles, whatever the fucking Severus thing was. So it's like, I guess it's kind of good that they're there.
Yeah.
But just either way, spy shit is always so cool and so ridiculous. But I'm gonna give it a solid B.
Give it my first initial reaction was A-, and I was like, no, come on, Ben, you're being too nice. B+.
Yeah, I think when we were talking earlier about original movies and stuff like that, like I didn't see Opus and some of the other bullshit or whatever you guys are talking about, but like this is the kind of thing that I think like could have gotten an audience in a different time. Like this is the movie that would have came out at Sundance, gotten a lot of like buzz talk.
Yeah.
Like 5 months later, hit the theaters, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got to see this thing, this Black Bag that everyone's talking about." And I think this is something that you go to the theater for and praise and all that kind of stuff. Even though it's not like big and flashy, like if this didn't have Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, it was all just kind of like new upcoming actors, and it just like came out of nowhere. It's like, wow, this movie is really fucking good, and like maybe launch some careers. I think that could be really, really cool. But I feel like, I don't know.
This is a movie that 15, 20 years ago, all the old people would go see. But the old people now are not the same old people then. And I think just people lost their love of going to theaters and like, well, fuck it. It's going to be streaming in a month. I could wait. I don't care that much. But yeah, I think like this is definitely a movie you recommend to your parents. You want to see a good movie? Dads will love this shit. Yeah.
To dads.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to our main topic.
We need to get you on the mic, Nick, because you're just dropping all this stuff off mic, and no one's picking it up.
It does pick up a little bit,
Y'all heard.
All right, we're talking Invincible season 3. Drum roll, thanks, Nick. Now, we're all big fans. Is this the strongest season of the series? The weakest season? Par for the course?
No, I think season 1's probably better.
Yeah.
I would say. It's kind of like you're getting to know the world, you're getting to know the characters.
The reveal of Omni-Man.
The reveal of Omni-Man and him being like the main villain of that season, and just like that first season set the tone for the series, like just with their fight and
that train scene,
the train
scene will live in infamy.
Yeah. So season 1 is just solid through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, a little bit of a step back, and then season 3 I think is a step forward in the right direction, where there's some bits of the season where I was just like, don't love that episode, or like this part didn't really do anything for me, but like but by the end you're just like, holy shit, this show is fucking good.
Yeah, talking to coworkers, they were like, man, it was right before the Invincible War episode, like some shit better fucking happen, because I'm bored of this shit. I don't want any more Adam Eve relationship bullshit, and like this relationship stuff is not nearly as bad as, what was his girlfriend before? Amber before. Like that felt like pulling teeth at times, where like there's like 2 episodes of them doing dating stuff, but it's a small part of it. Like, oh, we're gonna go on our first date, and then suddenly Invincible's in the future fighting the Immortal. Oh, we're thinking of moving out. We got to earn some money. Okay, now we got to stop this like prison with this giant dragon and stuff. It's like it's such a small part of the show. I don't know what the major complaints were. Yeah, and just be happy that he's with Adam Eve. Like they're perfect for each other. She's the best character and he's great. So I'm just happy for him.
Yeah, I think. We can kind of like real quick go through some of the episodes. There's only 8 of them.
Yeah.
But the first episode had like the big mole man stuff. Like that first episode,
you did not like that.
I didn't really care for it. It just seems so over the top and silly. And then you have like all these mighty heroes who later in the season kill
other Invincibles.
And they're just like, I can't get out of this bubble or whatever.
And then the robots come in and just rip them open.
Yeah,
I think they're strong on the outside, weak on, or strong on the inside, weak on the outside.
It's also all just,
it's comic book stuff.
Comic book mumbo jumbo fantasy crap.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I just, that whole underworld giant centipede monster stuff, like I just didn't care. It's just like this dude has seismic powers, and because he can like communicate through vibrations, he can command these things. I just didn't care about that episode.
I think they just needed him to be kind of pissed off at Cecil for doing that, and like, okay, it's our jumping off point.
Just gotta remember, it is based on a comic book.
Yeah, there is source material for this. Why don't you bring your mic a little bit closer, and Nick, you get your fucking chair a little bit closer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, that episode, I agree, is not my favorite, but
it's not the worst though.
It's such a comic booky thing to have a few issues that go over something so ridiculous as that. Like, if they're trying to stay as true as they can, I understand.
And none of us read the comics. I know, Steve, you spoiled yourself, right?
I read the first compendium.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so what did it go up to? Have you read all this?
No.
Okay.
We're well into 2 now.
Okay.
And I didn't read any of that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Most of this season is like new stuff. And the only like major difference is like, it's been a little bit since I read it. I have the worst memory of anyone in existence. But it's just like characters being different. Like Amber is white.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like...
Isn't Mark white as well? Or is he Korean?
Oh, he's white. Is he not white in the show?
No.
Is he?
Look at his mom.
He's half Asian.
He's Asian.
Well, I mean, to me, they look white.
You look at anime. Do any of them look Japanese? No.
All right, fair enough. But I mean, did they ever say anything in the show? Like,
I don't know if they say it, but like his mom is clearly Asian.
I guarantee you.
Fair enough. But anyway, but yeah, we're well into Compendium 2 now, which I haven't read any of. So,
Episode 2.
Episode 2. We get the origin of Cecil. Great stuff.
Oh, and this is
I love a good character origin.
This is also our first Multipole. Is the first time we see him, right? Or is that episode 3?
That might be episode 3.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes, it's episode 3 that we see Multipole.
But this is the episode where Invincible's just like, fuck you, Cecil. Like, I don't want any part of you. And the Guardians are kind of like, yeah, we'll go. Or not the Guardian. Well, yeah, the Guardians kind of break up.
Yeah.
Half of them become the team again. And the other half
love their hideout. I know it's just like in a bridge.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I want to live in a bridge.
Yeah, I live in a bridge any day.
I don't know where you park your car, but I want to live in a bridge. I guess when you fly, you don't really need a car.
But yeah. Cecil is probably one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
One, because he's played by Walton Goggins, the great Walton Goggins.
Yep.
He's great in everything. But he's a character who like makes decisions who like, I get why other people would be mad at you. And this is sort of, he comes in this origin story as like, oh, I'm gonna like not be what my boss is, the piece of shit, and and his boss is like, dude, you gotta make hard decisions. Like you're gonna have to like go against your morals to save people's lives. And then you're kind of watching this and going like, yeah, I don't agree with why he's doing it, but I also understand why he has to.
Yep.
And I think Cecil's such a great character because you can tell he genuinely cares about everyone who works for him and the human race,
even though
and people.
He looks like
he's
the
like,
secret
I will
bad
sacrifice all of you to save more, or half of you to save the other half, or whatever it is.
But he looks like the guy that would be like, I'm the bad guy the whole time. Like, oh, surprise, surprise, the guy with the fucked up face is the secret bad guy.
He reminds me of the Scary Movie guy.
He does, the strong hand guy. Yeah. That'd be so funny if they got him to do the voice.
But yeah, good stuff.
I
his
agree.
Origin of his face,
fucked up face, that was messed up. I agree with everything Cecil has done until the last thing he does, and then it's like, come on, idiot, come on. I get why you're doing it, but stop it.
Episode 3, Mark is just kind of showing Oliver the ropes. He's training his little brother to be a hero. His little brother is kind of, being what little brothers do, and just
take after big bro and get out there and do all the same stuff.
Bigger and tougher than he actually is.
I still
fine episode, but just like more or less a filler episode.
Sure, but that's the episode where Mark goes into the future to fight
the Immortal,
which I really like that part because him just talking to Immortal and being like, what about Kate? Think about her. And he's like, which one's Kate? Like, he's lived so long. He doesn't even remember the person that we see by the end of this. Like, they're going to be married and they want to quit and have a life. And you think, like, she's so important to him. But by the future, doesn't even remember her because he's gone through so many people.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but fuck Immortal. He's the worst.
Yeah.
He gets his head cut off all the time. He keeps coming back. He doesn't do anything. There was, like, weaker heroes stopping Invincibles, and he couldn't do shit. The Immortal sucks.
Episode 4, You Were My Hero. No.
This is
the episode where it's like half Nolan and Alan. Like their prison breakout with Battle Beast and fighting Viltrumites in space and stuff.
Yeah,
like, good fun stuff.
That's good. But the first half, that's like even.
Oh no, episode 4 is when he goes to the future.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two strangers ask Mark for help with a mysterious.
Okay. I am sad that like this is the only episode we get with Omni-Man and Alan. They're so much fun. I figured by the end we would see them at least like, all right, we're almost to Earth or something. I thought
he was going to come back in the finale.
Yeah, something.
Like I said, we're well into 2, so I don't know. I didn't know a lot of what was going to happen. I thought he was going to come in
and stop
with Alan.
Conquest.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like Alan and Omni-Man are like could be a fun like buddy cop sort of dynamic
Straight
or whatever, but in space, because like
yeah.
Alan is a very silly person, even though he is nearly like roughly as strong as a Viltrumite. But he just kind of has like a good fun attitude, and Nolan's just like, just let me fucking die.
I want to go. Yeah.
Episode 5, my least favorite episode of the season, is the dragon episode, and I'm someone who loves dragons.
Well, it's an ugly dragon, and it is like the worst rated of the season. Like everything else is like 8s and ups, and this is like a 7.5. It would be a fine episode if they just would have kept him dead by the end of it. You get through all this fight, his handler gets dropped from the sky, you kill the old guy, and then he just comes back. Like, fuck, no, we don't. Do we need this character for the future? You have no problem killing off other people.
I mean, I think this is the episode that has like the really great Multi-Paul escape scene.
Yes,
which is
beginning
so cool and gross.
Yeah,
Multi-Paul is my favorite addition of this season. Just super fun and the best name. Duplicate and Multi-Paul. Fantastic.
But to sacrifice all those bodies to just fill the room with enough mass to bust the door open is incredible. And then to do the same thing with the collar, to snap the necks of a couple of your multiples just to get out of it.
But yeah, so this is like the episode where here's this thing that is just gonna the dragon fight is the action sequence of this episode, but like the thing with Titan and Machine Head, it's all like, oh well, this is just set up for the future season.
Yeah.
So it just feels like I understand why you have to put this here, but it's not important for another year or two or whatever it is.
We've seen in season 1 of things getting just teased and then not touched on until later. This is just going to be one of those things that by the time we're done with the series, you'll look back and go, wow, they were so smart to put that so early.
Which I know is like a comic book thing. Like, here's the monster of the week that your hero has to fight. But in a show that is also like, also still feels like so linear when you have these sort of one-off episodes that are just like, oh, well, this doesn't play into anything important right now, then it's like it's harder for me to care.
But I really like the idea of superhero for hire. Like, you have these powers, you're not part of a team. Like, yeah, I'll save you. Just give me a call. I think that's very smart.
But that also feels like that would be like a whole season long. Like, this is the season where Mark starts a business, and like that every episode is him like having to juggle this job while also like dealing with bigger threats. But it always just feels like it's just an excuse to like be at this prison. It never like it doesn't really seem like it's going to be like a long-standing thing.
Yeah. What do you guys think of his new suit? He has his new suit by now. I don't like it. I want the yellow.
It's fine. I think the yellow's better.
Yeah.
And yellow usually doesn't look good in general, I think. I mean, unless you're like Wolverine, I guess. But
yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind the new suit, but I prefer the yellow one.
Yeah.
Episode 6, we get Aaron Paul as Powerflex. This episode I really liked because it had something to say about heroes and like the stake that they have in this world and
the collateral
damage
damage
they cause and how people can like. We all know from an audience standpoint that Mark is the hero. He tried to stop Omni-Man, who was the reason all these people died.
Yeah.
But from an outsider perspective, like Invincible was the one who like killed my my sister and my niece or whatever, and no one is doing anything about it. Like all these superheroes just get free reign, and we all have to like just suffer under their thing, under their not rule, but you know, if Invincible comes in, destroys half the city, it's not like he has to pay for it. He has to say sorry or anything. He's just off to fight the next monster or whatever. So I really liked that this had like actual things to say. And it's always good to, you know, see Aaron Paul on a thing.
Yeah.
I miss him more on BoJack Horseman, but you know, it's good he's still getting voice work. And also, this episode upset me more than any other episode because he
cooked his baby.
He cooked his own baby.
But
it made me so upset.
That fight was frustrating. You have Invincible going like, "Hey, you're not going to hurt these people. I'll save you." And he goes to try to save the woman and the baby. Grab him and fly him somewhere else. Take the fight somewhere else. Don't try to rescue the people. Like, and I know he's still learning or whatever, but you've been doing this for 2 years or something now. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, I feel like, especially if you have Cecil as a mentor-esque thing, like the first rule of superheroing is like, if you can get out of a heavy populated area, do that.
Yeah.
You can fly. It's not like you're Rex and you have to kind of like fucking stay there.
Yeah. I didn't expect him to come back so early with, you know, the next episode. I liked the ending where he's all chained up and I don't know, but I feel like this is going to be Mark's Joker. Like, he has his big fights with his dad and the whole Viltrum Empire, but this is his personal villain.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be cool if, you know, let's say the whole series goes on, all the main bad guys, whatever, but like this is the character who just haunts him. It's like, I never was really threatened by you, but how you feel about me affects me on an emotional level that I can't get over. You know, because Mark really felt like a failure because of this guy, you know, calling him out on his bullshit. But yeah, as a father to a young son, watching a man kill his wife and child really bothered me. I didn't care for it.
I mean, saw it coming a mile away,
for sure.
but...
and then...
we get into the real good stuff.
Real stuff. Episode 7. The Invincible War.
Angstrom Levy gets 16... Yeah, 16 Invincibles from different universes.
I think I looked it up in the comics. It was more like 30 of them or something like that.
No, I think it's just 16.
Yeah.
Then half die.
Well, I think doesn't matter. Whatever. Doesn't. But yeah, so we just have all these evil versions of Invincible that we've established from previous episodes when Angstrom is going between timelines, and
Mhm.
like every version of Mark is evil except for our version, and he just recruits them and just wreaks havoc on the planet. And
It's like you thought the fight in Chicago was bad with Omni-Man. This is like worldwide.
yeah, just going
Every major city
three
is
days of
destroyed.
terror where
Yeah.
Invincibles are just killing and destroying everything indiscriminately. We get some cool suit designs, some not so great, some pretty sweet.
Yep.
I know.
I like the one with the like the hanging mask. Who kind of looks like
Yeah.
Grifter, I think is the comic book character. I like seeing Mark with a mustache. I like him in his Omni-Man suit. I hate Mohawk Mark. That
Yeah.
one I think is one of the worst looking ones. And it's like that's the one that
The two with the capes were my favorite. The Omni-Man one and
Mhm.
the yellow and black
Yeah,
one. Even
the
though I just talked shit
super-
about yellow, that
yeah.
one looked good.
The disappointing thing, because after I watched this, there was a lot of YouTube videos of like all the different Invincibles explained. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch that. And so I got a little bit of spoilers for the future. But the disappointing thing is this was the big crossover for Image Comics.
Mhm.
Savage Dragon, Spawn, Witchblade, all these characters who I think are even like Spawn is relatively well known, but all the other ones nobody has heard of them. Like nobody heard of Invincible until a couple of years ago in the general population.
Sure.
And this has been out since 2005 is when the first comic came out.
Mm.
So this was their big thing, but they couldn't get all those the rights to all of them, so they had to just like pop in other people. And like, damn, I really wanted to see Spawn go at it. I wanted to see fucking Witchblade animated. That isn't the anime.
Or even like a Spawn adjacent character where like it's not Spawn, but you can tell it's Spawn.
Yeah,
Kind of like what they did with Spider-Man.
It's like a palette swap sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
They're like, no, we'll put in this weird beast creature instead of Spawn.
Yeah. He's got a dark gray suit instead of black. Instead of chains, it's like rope or something. But you're
Sure,
like,
yeah, why not?
something dumb.
Or just, make them orange and blue, instead of black and red. But I get it, want to play it safe. And hey, maybe they can, once the owners of these things see how popular Invincible is, maybe they'll do it in the future.
Yeah. But I think this is the episode where, if it's not the last one, this is the one where Steven Yeun gets a voice acting Emmy or something, just because he's playing 16 versions of himself.
Yeah.
And even though it's the same voice, they're all very distinct, and you can tell that they all have like their own thing, outside of just all looking different. But yeah, I just had a great time with this episode, and just like that shot of all the Invincibles like kind of looking off into the distance, and it just cuts to like all the different ones at the different cities they're destroying. Just like great filmmaking stuff in there too.
Yeah. So since I won't say it since you don't know, but do you know what happens to the marks that got pushed into the other world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. I'm sick of seeing Angstrom Levy. Fuck this guy. Like, atomize this dude already. Like, you smashed his fucking head in and he still survived. And I know he'll be back again, but I'm over him. I don't want to see him ever again.
Yeah. I did like his portal fight with Mark at the end. I thought that
with
was
all
really,
the little balls and
I
stuff.
thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, just a great episode, and just the way it ends was just, here's Conquest at the end as a tease. And I like that, just all this awful stuff keeps happening to Mark, and then at the end he just goes like, I just want to fucking hit somebody. And what a great way to end an episode. Really, really love it.
And then we get a nice Walking Dead reunion of Steven Yeun and the worst Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
And a Breaking Bad reunion with Powerplex and Britt, played by Jonathan Banks.
Yeah.
I mean, very small, but
Very
it's just
small.
like it's funny that he's the one who takes Powerplex away. I was like, oh, that's nice. These two AMC shows coming together.
Yeah. So where's Bob Odenkirk gonna slide in here? Bob Odenkirk could be, what's Cecil's robot buddy partner guy?
Oh, fuck, what's his name?
Neil? I don't. Whatever. But I can see Bob Odenkirk playing that role.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll bring Odenkirk.
They'll figure it.
They'll find something.
He'll be Thrag. Yeah, and then Conquest rolls up, and
Episode 8.
46 minutes of ass kicking.
Oh, well, before we get to this episode, shout out to Rex pulling a gambit.
Yeah.
A character who was a total scumbag season 1, kind of a total douchebag in season 2, and just a little bit of a jerk in season 3.
Yeah.
But he
The character with the most growth.
yeah, he went out like a champ, and
R.I.P.
just R.I.P. Good
Yeah.
stuff. I
we'll get
I
to
miss
the-
him already.
We'll get to the funeral in a second.
Yeah.
But I think I like the Invincible War more than the
Mhm.
fight with Conquest. It's very good. And finally, Eve does something. Like, she has the best power set of any superhero ever.
Mhm.
And she does something creative with, like, changing the density of the air. Like, why'd you stop doing that? Why you always got to throw up a big pink wall or put someone in a bubble and swing them around? Like, start doing that air density thing all the time. Do it to their lungs, you know? Like, I was expecting her to like try to like flick a penny into his mouth and then change that and rip him in half, but it's like we get to see her go full Dark Phoenix, Super Saiyan, and now she has, you know.
Yeah, if there's one weak point in this episode, I think it's like her death fake out only to come back as like this ascended being,
Yeah.
which is just such a crux, I feel like, of just like, oh, I have this untapped power that I mean, and I totally forgot that I guess in the Adam Eve special they established like they
put
lock her
blockers.
powers away or whatever.
Because I watched that right before this, because when I got home, I was watching another thing and I was like, I can't focus on that. I want to watch Invincible so bad, but I got an hour. So I watched Adam Eve special again. And I'm kind of glad I did, because they did say like, oh yeah, we put blockers in your brain so you can't change, you know, organic material. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. The next episode, you know,
Here she is.
there you go.
So it's like, it's not coming out of nowhere, but if you had forgotten about that kind of thing, you're like, oh, well.
But it did shock the shit out of me that like he punches her, rips half her face off, and then, you know,
yeah, like
finger, I don't know what do you call that?
Impales her with his hand.
I was like, damn, like she's probably not dead, because I know some things that happen in the future, but I was shocked. I didn't know something this crazy happened to her.
Yeah. I think I see why you like the Invincible War more. It's bigger and like this is.
I think it's
you would
more
think that,
fun.
yeah, you would think that that's the season finale.
Yeah.
Like that would be the season finale on any other show. Where Conquest, it feels kind of just as big, but it's also just like two guys punching each other for 45 minutes. It's not like the most exciting fights. It's not like they're doing like really cool hand-to-hand combat stuff.
And they reuse things of like him holding Mark and then running through a bunch of people on the beach.
Like, we need to
like,
do this again.
Yeah, we've seen this before, so what else can we do?
But I mean, it is kind of. I think it was fun to see again, especially like flying by so fast that like a child's arm is just getting ripped off. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
this show will kill
disgusting.
kids.
Yeah, does not care. And I think Conquest, for like someone who you just meet in this episode, like really stood out, and you know, was like really a lot of fun. And I think that goes to Jeffrey Dean Morgan as well. Kind of, he's a very Negan-esque character.
Yeah.
And what I found out, which I thought was interesting, was his little speech of just like, "I'm so lonely," is not in the comics.
Yeah.
It's like that's
Same with like the little blood heart bubble that he throws at him. You know, he like blows out some blood and it freezes and he shapes it into a heart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, the like, I'm so lonely, like I don't even get a name, just a purpose. Like, damn, this is the best. That little monologue is the best thing in the entire season, I think. And it gives him enough heart. Like you go, oh, there's a person there. I care. No, I don't care about this guy, but you feel for him.
This is a guy who is sent to planets to annihilate populations, but for the briefest second, you just give him something where like, I feel for him at least a smidge. Like, yes, he is a person, but just that whole monologue, you're just like, that's the scariest fucking thing I've ever heard. Just, I've beaten you, and now I'm just gonna tell you like why I feel so bad about this, and then I'm just gonna smash your face in and kill you. And then Mark actually is the one who smashes it in his face
with his face.
With his face, yeah. But yeah, just great stuff.
Good shit, yeah. And then he defeats him, and then Cecil locks him up in a big block of tungsten or whatever he said. Like, you know he's gonna get out. This is not gonna end well for you. I get it.
Yeah.
You want to learn as much as you can, but who's to say you're gonna get anything out of this guy? You're probably safer just destroying this guy. And then
can't you cut off his head and just maybe study the dead bodies? Or
sure.
like we've already established in this episode that they're turning the Mark variants into Reanimen, which is a great idea, but also fucked up.
Yep.
But they're from another dimension, so who cares?
Yeah.
But like you already have several Viltrumites you're experimenting. Yes, they're all just versions of Mark. And Conquest is arguably stronger, so maybe you could get a little bit more information. He's not, he's someone else.
But I think it's also like he wants him to regenerate back so he can talk to him and get information that way. And like, it's one thing to test the body. It's another thing to actually try to have a conversation. Because as soon as he gets his sentience back, he's busting out of this thing.
Yeah, and what I want to know with Viltrumites too, and like when Conquest punches Mark through like 5 buildings, does Mark feel those buildings, or is it just kind of like he's just going through a bunch of like paper?
I would think it's like paper.
Because there's sometimes where it's just like it feels like this is making it seem like he's getting hurt by getting hit with all these things, and then other times they just do something like really crazy where it's like, well, then none of that should have hurt him at all.
If this thing
doesn't bother him.
Yeah.
And that's just like always
comic book stuff.
Comic book superhero stuff. Like it looks cooler this way, but realistically, like this wouldn't hurt him, or he wouldn't be able to do this at all. But for the sake of like action sequence, we'll just add it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But you could definitely tell that they put the majority of their budget into this episode. There's a lot of like moments of really clean animation,
like
that you're
the
kind of
hair.
like the hair stuff. Which I was talking to Nick the other day about. It was like, it shouldn't be that impressive. It's just impressive because it's so rarely seen for us, but like anime does it in every single scene that they're in.
Yeah.
So it's just
well, there's some cheap ass animes out there too, but they do love their small detail.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you said something along the lines like, well, there's also a bunch of studios out there that child labor or like they just put these people through like 80-hour work weeks and stuff. But it's also like a bigger export is like Japanese anime and stuff. So like that's their main industry. I don't know if their main industry. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's a big part of their thing where animation is popular in America, but it's not like we have to put all of our money into animation because we get it back. It's nice to see that they actually like took the time to really like make some scenes great, like just him flying so fast, and then when he goes stop and just like just that
midair,
and just all the wind going by, and just how his like little skirt on his outfit flaps. It just, I don't know. There's some really great stuff.
I really liked how Conquest was able to manipulate his flight much better than Mark. Like Mark getting better when he was fighting Angstrom Levy and trying to, stop himself midair before he goes into a portal. But Conquest is just, stopping in the most odd places because he has so much more control over his body. It's funny. It's like you get a scene of Mark getting knocked down and he's getting up and his hair is just moving beautifully. Then you look at the scene of when all the Marks go into that abandoned world and it's just like a static image of all of them as they're floating up together. Like there's no cape movement or anything. And they're just rising up. Like they're just shifting the frame.
It just makes me think of, was it the very first episode of this season where he's like meeting the writer of
no, that was
Seance,
season 2.
Season 2. Where it's like, oh yeah, and sometimes animation we have characters cover their mouth, so we don't have to animate their mouths, or just we'll show a static image of like a crowd that isn't moving, so we can just save money on the budget. It's like,
I'm glad they're aware of their shortcomings, but like, hey, do you want this show to come out every 15 months, or do you want it to come out every 24 months? So take what you can get. And then the last season, I'm sure every episode will be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
You never know.
Just shut up. But I will say that dragon episode looked like shit. That was the worst looking episode out of all of them.
So we get the big fight. Conquest is defeated. Mark is once again
2 broken arms and a broken femur
in shambles.
How much more damage can he take to be impactful? Because he heals so quick. That's like, oh, he broke his arm and he's gonna win and he'll be fine.
He had a tooth go through his shoulder into like his lungs, and he healed in like an episode.
And it's like Oliver got 8 teeth knocked out in this and his body's stretched. He'll be fine. And what is it going to take for him to get, because that's what you do with your heroes, is they're down, they're almost out, something bad happens, Eve dies, and he can muster enough strength to defeat the bad guy. And it's like, who else is it? Is his mom gonna get fucking killed? Obviously, don't tell me. Is that going to be the thing that he has to go through in order to get the power? Because it's like, is it Oliver? Once again, I don't trust Oliver. He's going to be a bad guy one of these days. And I mean, like, Mark by the end of this is like, I'm killing every motherfucker who comes after me. So Mark is going to be going down a dark path. But I think as soon as Omni-Man shows up, Oliver's going to Omni-Man's side. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have Rex's funeral. It was very nice.
I don't want to keep comparing it to Gambit because he died in a very Gambit way.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he had Gambit's funeral, which one of my favorite scenes of last year, like really well done with Nightcrawler. Weird. I mean, I get it. I feel like it was kind of weird for Eve to go up there and be like, he was my first everything.
Everything.
It's like, I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I know it's like my first boyfriend, my first love, my first kiss, but it's like, yeah, the first person you fucked, and the yeah.
And I get what I get what she was going for, and I don't think it necessarily didn't work. It was fine. It's just kind of a weird way to put it.
Yeah.
I think I would have worded it differently.
I would 100% word it differently, because I would just be sitting there going like, is she talking about like eating his asshole or something? What specifically first of everything?
Because then immediately after that, it was just like, she's talking to Mark, and I was like, yeah, he did cheat on me a bunch, but like, I do love that guy, which, you know, I get, whatever.
And then Mark's just like smiling the whole time, like, you're at your friend's funeral. I know you're happy Eve's not dead, but dude, time and place. And then they immediately go and fuck. That's just so weird.
Just happy to be alive. But Eve's pretty, so I get it.
Yeah. Hey. I'm surprised they haven't done nudity in the show.
I'm glad they don't.
They show children being killed, and they can't pop a nipple out once in a while.
Side boobs and side booty. That's it. But also, you have Robot taking... He already took Rex's body, and now he's taking Rex's name.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Which is just like... I don't think it's as... I don't want to say adorable, but as... sentimental as noble or whatever you think it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I wasn't a real person really, and now I am, and to honor my friend, I'm gonna name myself Rex. It's like,
You don't have to do that.
yeah. Yeah. Like, if you also didn't look like him, fine.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you didn't have a name, so you called yourself Rudy, and now, like, oh, I'll call myself Rex to honor him. But like, you cloned yourself to look like him. So now you're just Rex.
Yeah.
It's so weird and creepy.
I don't like that. But it does, and now it makes sense. It was like at the end of season 2 when we had the alternate versions of a future, like an older Eve that talked to Mark and said, hey, I love you. Either love me back or let me go. They show Robot and call him Rex. And it's like, what? What the fuck was that all about? So now that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But still, don't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You name your kid after that or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
If Monster Girl and him have a baby, you name it Rex. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then wrap up is like, hey, those weird Martian squid things are still at it in the sewer, so we'll get some of that. We got Hellboy detective guy, he's coming back, but apparently he's not in the comics anymore.
So
that's all
I guess
new.
they're cooking up some new storyline.
So that's interesting. I didn't realize that the littler of them, that was Bruce Campbell. So that was nice seeing him. They just get everybody
Evil
for this
Dead,
show.
man.
And then and then
Clancy Brown, one of the best voices in the game.
Oh yeah, it's like him and he does Principal Lewis on American Dad.
Kevin Michael
Richardson.
Yeah.
Like, God, I wish I could. If I can't have their voice, like I want Laszlo from What We Did in the Shadows, Matt Berry. You know, it's like I want a really silly voice, or I want the deepest, most growly, big monster voice there is.
New York.
and then we get to see what's his name, Battle Beast. He gets like picked up by some aliens that are okay. I want one spoiler if you know it. Okay, Nick, close your ears if you don't want to hear the answer to it. Okay, so Thrag, every picture I see, he has a big white coat on. Is that Battle Beast? Okay. I figured, because like I didn't think of it at first, but then I saw one picture in the head. I'm like, wait a second. Like, oh, okay, that's going to show all of us how we know how powerful this dude is.
Yeah,
he's going to pace this guy.
They had like a real big thing. And
Okay.
it goes for like a month or something.
Okay.
Yeah. And then But I won't tell you all.
Okay,
but
okay,
it's like,
yeah,
there's
okay.
some cool stuff. But
Okay,
yeah.
cool. All right, Nick. Was there anything else in the? Oh yeah, like Eve like took off all of Mark's clothes and now they're all like melting. Like she doesn't quite have a grasp on her powers, like mixing of the inorganic and the organic or something. I don't know, but what's that all about?
Definitely just some
What's up with that?
last minute teases.
Yeah.
But yeah, after season 2, I was like, step back. I hope they bring it back around. And after season 3, I'm like, yep, bring me Invincible season 4. I'm ready for it. This is a great show.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this episode's nice and long, and I'm gonna hate editing it. We're already at an hour and 40 minutes. That sucks.
Everything I said, Anna.
Welcome back, Nick. Sorry you had to die for that last 40 minutes, but
That's okay. I love listening to you guys talk about a show that I also love.
well, next week we got a weird variety of things. We got Snow White, we have Alto Knights, we have Ash, Locked, and Magazine Dreams. I don't know what Locked or Magazine Dreams is. I want to see Ash. I think it looks cool.
Ash boy.
I knew.
I already got my ticket.
You did. Okay.
Flying Lotus. I'm in.
And like we were talking like Alto Knight. Who cares?
Yeah, I'll see Ash. Fine.
Like,
I'd almost rather see Snow White just to see like how.
If you see Snow White, I'll see Snow White because I know it's gonna be bad, and I love shitting on movies. So I'm definitely gonna see Ash, but I think something's coming to an end next week. Oh, it's Severance. Never mind. So
Yeah, the only thing that's keeping me from like maybe seeing Snow White is just like I think it's gonna be bad. But I don't think it's going to be like so bad. You're kind of like, there's not like a movie here.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like weird looking.
Mhm.
And that's going to would be
maybe
bad.
okay.
But I don't, or maybe like Gal Gadot's performance is not good or something. But like, I don't think it's going to be like.
What? Come on.
I just don't, I can see it not being as a disaster of a movie as people make it out to be. It's
Sure.
just like, it's something no one wants.
Yeah. Just like all Disney live action
like Ash,
remakes.
I don't know if that's going to be any
looks
good at all.
It looks
but
like
it just looks
weird sci-fi, and I'm down for something different.
So.
But we'll see. And hey, more Aaron Paul.
More Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. And that one lady from Three Body Problem who is one of the prettiest human beings on the planet. So
There you go.
all right. Well, if you want to get in contact with let's do that again. If you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPL Podcast at gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. Hit us up with all your questions, comments, and concerns. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Nick, thanks for joining us. I know I always ask, do you want to put your socials, but you don't care.
Not really.
All right. Well, thanks for listening and keep consuming.